The biggest loaves of bread in this factory are so huge, they barely fit on the conveyor belt. Robotic arms struggle to keep up as endless golden bricks of dough rush past, sliced, bagged, and sealed in seconds. But here's the strange part. This all starts with something as small and fragile as a single grain of wheat. We're going inside a modern bread factory, following Wonder Bread on its full journey from wheat grain to that soft sliced loaf on your breakfast table. The scale is surreal, the machines are almost hypnotic, and the process is so fast it feels impossible. If you enjoy seeing how everyday food is really made, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of these factory deep dives. Before there's a loaf, there's a field. Wheat arrives at the factory not as flour but as truckloads of raw grain. Each load is sampled, tested, and graded. Moisture, protein content, impurities. High-speed suction pipes pull the wheat into towering silos, where different varieties are blended to hit one target. The exact consistency Wonder Bread needs to stay soft, fluffy, and identical every single day. From those silos, the wheat flows into the first transformation, cleaning and milling. Giant vibrating screens shake away stones and husks. Powerful magnets catch stray bits of metal. Then the grain disappears into steel rollers that crack, crush, and grind it again and again. In seconds, hard kernels become a fine white flour, sifted through multiple stages until every particle is uniform. Conveyor lines carry this flour not in bags but in rivers, an endless white stream feeding the heart of the factory. That heart is the mixing room. Here, precision replaces guesswork. Computer-controlled dispensers release flour by the hundreds of kilos, weighed to the gram. Water is added at a carefully controlled temperature. Sugar, salt, yeast, and a few secret conditioners drop in from overhead hoppers. The goal isn't just flavor, it's structure. Wonder Bread is famous for being soft, but that softness is engineered. The gluten has to be strong enough to trap gas, yet tender enough to collapse into that familiar squishy slice. As the mixing arms start, the bowl looks like chaos. Flour clouds, splashes of water, clumps of dough. Then the rhythm settles. Massive spiral hooks knead with mechanical consistency, folding and stretching the mass into a smooth elastic dough. On the factory floor, each batch is enormous, a single dough ball that weighs more than a person. The mixer tilts and that giant mass spills out in slow motion onto a conveyor, like a living, breathing thing. Now the clock starts ticking. Yeast is alive, and the factory is built around its schedule. The dough is cut into huge chunks and fed into a divider. This machine is a marvel of industrial precision. Pistons push, blades slice, and every piece that comes out weighs almost exactly the same. For oversized loaves, those pieces are comically big, blocks of dough that look too large to be real. They roll down the line, one after another like soft bricks on a treadmill. Each dough piece passes into a rounder, where spinning cups shape it into tight balls, sealing the surface so gas can build inside. Then they enter the first rest, an intermediate proofer. Inside this tall, rotating tower, hundreds of dough balls sit in individual trays, gently swinging past in a warm, humid chamber. They're not baking yet, they're relaxing. This rest lets the gluten loosen so the dough will shape evenly and rise predictably in the next stages. After this short proof, the dough balls are flattened and rolled into logs by a molder. Long, smooth cylinders that match the shape of the pan exactly. Robotic arms or synchronized pushers lift each log and drop it into a waiting pan. Here's where the scale gets surreal. The pans themselves are huge, designed for those oversized loaves that almost overflow when fully risen. Each pan is part of a massive chain, linked together into trains that can stretch the length of the factory. Loaded pans disappear into the final proofer, a towering enclosed room that works like a slow-motion elevator system. Inside, the air is warm and moist, the perfect climate for yeast. Over the next 45 to 60 minutes, the dough quietly transforms. Tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide expand, stretching the gluten network. When the pans emerge again, those once compact logs have become towering domes of dough, so tall they seem ready to spill over the edges. Now comes the point of no return, the oven. The proofer hands off its pans to a continuous tunnel oven, a steel cave radiating dry heat. The pans slide in on a conveyor, vanishing into the glow. In the first minutes, the loaves spring up even higher as the last of the yeast activity explodes. Then the heat kills the yeast, sets the crust, and locks in the shape. For giant loaves, the oven is tuned carefully, too hot, and the crust burns before the center cooks. Too cool and the crumb collapses under its own weight. When the pans emerge at the far end, the dough is no longer dough. It's bread. Golden, domed, and still crackling from the oven. But the factory doesn't slow down to admire it. An automated depanner flips each loaf out in a perfectly timed motion. In some lines, suction cups grab the loaves from above. In others, a quick mechanical twist lets gravity do the job. The empty pans immediately loop back toward the start to be cleaned and reused, while the loaves ride onward on a separate conveyor. Fresh out of the oven, the bread is far too hot and moist to slice, so it enters the cooling spiral, a towering winding belt that slowly lifts the loaves upward as they travel through ambient or gently conditioned air. This spiral can be several stories high, holding thousands of loaves at once. Over the course of nearly an hour, steam escapes, the crumb sets, and the crust firms just enough. From the outside, it looks like an endless carousel of bread, circling upward in a hypnotic loop. Once cooled, the loaves head toward one of the most mesmerizing parts of the line: slicing. High-speed guillotine-style slicers use rows of razor-sharp blades, vibrating or rotating, to cut each loaf into perfectly even slices in a fraction of a second. You barely see the motion. One moment a solid loaf enters. The next, it exits as a neatly stacked fan of slices, still holding its shape. For Wonder Bread, the thickness is standardized, tuned to match the expectations of millions of breakfast routines. Immediately after slicing, the clock is ticking again, this time against staling and contamination. The sliced loaves slide into baggers, where plastic bags are puffed open with jets of air. Mechanical paddles push the bread inside without crushing it. Then a spinning arm twists the neck of the bag, and a small plastic clip snaps on, sealing it shut. On some lines, printed dates and batch codes are stamped in real time, giving each bag a traceable identity. From here, the loaves travel on yet another network of conveyors, forming lanes and groups. Automated systems weigh random samples, check bag seals, and scan labels for accuracy. Any loaf that's too light, poorly sealed, or off-spec is instantly pushed off the line. The rest are corralled into crates or boxes, stacked by robotic palletizers into towering loads ready for trucks. It all happens so quickly that a loaf can go from raw flour to wrapped, branded Wonder Bread in just a few hours. The most surreal part of watching this process isn't just the machines or the scale. It's realizing how fragile the product is at every step. A tiny change in flour moisture, a few minutes too long in the proofer, a slight shift in oven temperature, and the entire line could start turning out loaves that are too dense, too dry, or misshapen. So behind the hypnotic motion of conveyors and robotic arms, there's a constant invisible battle for consistency. Sensors, lab tests, and human operators work together to make sure that every loaf in that endless river looks and feels the same. And yet, when that bag lands on your kitchen counter, it feels almost ordinary. Just another loaf of bread. You don't see the wheat silos, the vibrating screens, the spiral coolers, or the tunnel ovens that made it possible. You just see soft slices that don't crumble when you spread peanut butter, toast evenly, and fit perfectly into a lunchbox. That quiet reliability is the real achievement of the modern bread factory, turning one of humanity's oldest foods into a product so predictable you barely think about it. If you've ever wondered what happens to that bread when it meets its perfect partner, there's a whole other factory story waiting. The same level of precision, scale, and strange satisfaction powers the making of crunchy peanut butter, roasted nuts, grinding stones, and oil separation all under control. Watch that next to see how your sandwich really comes together. See you there.